Welcome back to The Five. After an appeals court rules that Obamacare is unconstitutional, the White House is deciding to let the case go all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, this means a decision on the president's biggest reform could come right in the thick of the 2012 election. Eric.
All right, so,
I got Eric.
Yeah.
All right. This is a man who is a lawyer who practiced constitutional law for 10 years. Don't you have to give him credit for not stalling further, wasting taxpayer time and money, even for the states, and saying, I'm confident enough, take it to the big guys and gals on the court.
Why is this decision not to fight the 11th Circuit Court not exactly that? His confidence that the Supreme Court will rule in favor of Obamacare. Yeah. So what we have is we have the 6th Court who upheld the mandate, the individual mandate, the 11th Circuit Court who found it unconstitutional, and the 4th Circuit Court who wasn't really sure what they're going to do.
Yeah, 6 in favor, 5 against, and 3 to decide.
Right, so the bottom line, the Supreme Court, it will go to the Supreme Court eventually. We'll find out what they think. Personally, I think it's unconstitutional. Also, of note, if this is such a great thing, Leslie, why 1,300 waivers for this? Why, you know, and it goes on and on.
Well, the waiver. We've talked about this before, actually. The waivers are for because they didn't take into consideration. Hey, listen, I'm in favor of health care reform and not the way it went through, and I've said that before. I believe we should have a public option. I know you all love me for that. But the waivers are given primarily to companies like a large fast food corporation with Golden Arches, as an example, that has a lot of part-time employees and
Leslie, we get that.
And it happened right about the time that they struck that deal.
But look, I can understand why unions lobby for the lowest possible rates for their employees. These fast food employees, these home health care workers, these janitors. The problem is the unions were the one lobbying for this bill. They mandated all these other things on us only to exempt themselves. If they wanted these things, they should have not pushed so hard that it was now the law for everybody else.
I don't like it.
That's what angers people.
I don't like it that the Supreme Court is being asked to make this decision whether or not they should even hear it in a presidential election year. I would like for it to be heard on its merits. 60% of the American people still don't like this bill. I think the reason they did this is, 1, they want to get it over with. 2, if it fails, then they're going to blame the Republicans and they'll run on it. And 3, they don't like the individual mandate either. They actually want a public option. So they're going to gamble and see if they get reelected and then push it through a public option. This is what's all
you need a public option to have a mandate, though, quite frankly. Think about it. How can I say it's mandatory that you have health care if you don't have an option? I have argued with congressional members on the left
That's the thing holding this bill together. But I think there's a fourth, Dana, that I would add to this. I think it's all to galvanize his base. I think, as Eric said, he feels very confident that this will pass. That's why he didn't try and use any stalling techniques. And I think he's thinking this will help motivate the base. He needs just another thing to get them ginned up.
I will say this, though. For everybody else, it's really, really annoying. Because remember, for most of America, they're kind of ticked off that he never had his eye on the ball of the economy and put all of his eggs on the, I'm mixing metaphors here, put all his eggs in the healthcare basket. And while that went on, we saw unemployment go up. We're coming in election time where he's bringing this back up, and if the economy is still in the...
Yeah, and they don't even talk about health care anymore. It's not even in his stump speech. They just ignore it like it never happened.
Let's talk about the Catholic Church for a second, and I know that you really want to mix religion and politics,
of course.
don't you,
I do that all the time.
Let's do it, right? Well, the bishops in the United States, U.S. Catholic bishops, are there any other kind of bishops? But
yes,
they're issuing... thank you. My friend calls it Catholic Light. Have issued a plea to the faithful across the country to object an Obamacare directive on the contraceptives and sterilizations because they say it, quote, poses an unprecedented threat to individual and institutional religious freedom. Is this truly an attack on Catholics by the president and this administration? Have we really gone that far?
I don't know if that's what it is, but what it is it illustrates that this was a giant bill that nobody read. So if you open it up, there's bound to be something in there that somebody hates. Or a lot of people hate. Yeah, that's what it is.
Right.
And then it just so happens, I guess they discovered this now because no one read it.
Well, remember when Nancy Pelosi said, just pass the bill, we'll find out what's in it later.
But it was a big deal when, remember Bart Stupak, the congressman from Michigan, who was like the deciding vote. He was a very pro-life guy who twisted and turned himself into Houdini in order to get in the box to be able to vote for it. And then didn't he lose?
He did.
Yes, election, or he retired.
No,
he retired. Right? He made the decision, then he retired. He took one for President
he knew he would
Obama.
No. He decided not to run because his family had death threats. But we will have more of the Five right after this.